Find the largest value of x that satisfies that equation. Okay, so this one's going to be a little more challenging than most. Let's write it out. So log base 3 of x squared minus log base 3 of x plus 3 equals 4. Okay, so what do we do when we have two logs? What are we going to do? Well, first thing, let me make a line of separation there. First thing we need to do, step 1, let me change that word. Combine, well, I keep changing my mind. But how about combine? Let's do with that word. Combine into one log by the properties. Now, what do we mean, the properties? Meaning adding becomes multiply and subtraction becomes divide. So this means this is going to become log base 3. Notice how they're both log base 3, log base 3. It's subtraction in the middle, so it'll become divide. So that subtraction becomes divide, x squared over x plus 3. Now, if that had been a plus sign in the middle, then it would have been log base 3 of x squared times x plus 3. Plus would have become multiply, but minus becomes divide because it's actually minus in the middle. It's dividing those two. Remember those properties of logs? What's an easier operation for two logs, adding or subtracting? That's easier, right? Adding, subtracting is the easiest math operations you've ever learned. It's easier for two logs, like a job is easier for two people. It's a harder operation, multiplying or dividing, for one person, right? A harder job for one person, easier for two people. So it's a harder operation. It's dividing for just one log, right? It went from 2 logs to 1 log, and the operation got harder because it's a harder job for one person. That's my analogy to help you remember the way it works. So for 1 log, it's dividing when it was subtraction. If it had been adding, then it would have been multiplying. Still a harder job for 1 log. Let's get rid of this adding and, this stuff. Okay, so that's step 1. Let's go on. Step 2 is to, now how do you we got to get rid of that log. You're going to go base to the left. Whoops, I'm kind of scribbling here. Equals base to the right. Remember, at some point, we always, when we have logs, we do powers, because powers and logs are the opposites of each other. So I'm going to go, what's the base? The base is right here, 3. So I'm going to go 3 to this side and 3 to that side. And then these cancel each other out because logs and powers are the opposites. What does that leave us? X squared over x plus 3 is 3 to the 4th. Use your calculator. It's 9 times 9, right? Because it's 3 squared times 3 squared, 81. So now we've gotten rid of the logs, haven't we? So this is what we do when we have 2 logs. We've gotten rid of the logs. Now we just need to solve that equation, but that may be easier said than done. How do we solve that equation for x? What do you do when you have a fraction? You put this over 1, you go diagonal, diagonal. So this is going to be x squared times 1 is 81 times x plus 3. Distribute that 81. 81x, and 3 times 81 is 243. And what do we do now that we have an x squared equation? How do we handle an x squared equation? Well, that's a whole new situation. Solving x squared, how do we do it? Step 1, get a 0. Get a 0 on one side and put x squared on the side where he's positive x squared. So x squared is positive on the left side. If I jumped him to this side, that would not be a good plan because he would become negative x squared. Remember when things jump to the other side of the equal sign, they switch their signs? So I'm just going to jump these guys to the other side here, so it'll become x squared minus 81x minus 243 equals 0. Really, I just subtracted 81x from both sides, and I subtracted 243 from both sides. I just didn't want to show all that. Boom, boom, that made a 0. That made them negative on the other side. It's quicker just to jump them, same effect. Okay, so what do we do now? Well, step 2, you can factor, with parentheses, or you can do the quad. Either way, you can factor or you can do the quad. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into the quad right now. Remember, the quad is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And let's identify the different parts here. A is 1, that's A right there. This is B right here, and this is C, right? So x is negative b. Now, it's negative, that negative sign there, and then b itself is negative 81. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. A of 81 squared minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is minus 243, all over 2 times A, 2 times 1. Okay? So x is 81 plus or minus the square root. Use your calculator. I'm using mine. 81 squared is 6561 plus, because it's negative, times positive times negative. So that's 2 negatives makes a positive. 4 times 243, 972 all over 2. Okay, now I'm going to need to add a page here. All right, so now where are we at? This will become 81 plus or minus, so 656 plus 972, 6561 plus 972 is the square root of 7533 all over 2. And if you try to square root that, I'm going to try right now. I don't think it's going to be clean. No, it's something ugly. So we're going to need to break this into 2 answers now. So we're going to get, so x is going to be 81 plus the square root of 7533 all over 2, or x is going to be 81 minus the square root of 7533 all over 2. So let's do those 2 answers. Remember, when you finish the numerator, you have to hit equals, same thing over here, before you divide by 2. So I got x is 83.8964, on and on it goes. And the other one, I got negative 2.8964, which they told me on the problem. If you go back to the beginning of the problem, they said find the largest value. They want the larger one. They don't want the other one on this one for whatever reason. They only want this answer. The other one's a good answer too, but they only want this one. So there we go. That's how we do it.